Hello world, I'm Saint Dev Guy, and this video is about investigating possible course corrections. Now this will just be a mini course correction and I'll show you why in a second. But the point of the game that I'm making, the mini game really, is to test out the core gaming loop and make sure that it is optimized and fun and will succeed in achieving what I want to achieve in the full game, not actually implementing much of the full game at all. And at this point, I really have a bear that you can walk around and you can say hello to the bear playing the guitar, and that's more or less about it. It can walk back and exit the game, but it really isn't. There, I said hello. And I can click on the house, it's going to walk back. It really isn't a game loop yet. It's just kind of the framework of being able to walk places and do things when you get there. And one of the things I've started to do now is I've implemented this in 2 game engines. I've done this in Godot and in Unity, for example. And so the plan is to now implement the 3rd game engine. And I'm starting to question, is this the time to do that? Or am I have to go back and do things in the first 2 game engines first to make it able to tell me something like which game engine I want to use, which platforms I want to implement, that kind of thing. And I've noticed some things when I've been doing this, and some facts have come to light. The first off is the 2 game engines I've done are very different. I expect the same to be in the 3rd. And as I've been going through, I haven't been polishing like all of the work and getting it perfect yet. One example is simply the art, and there's a reason for that. Is because if I have to throw things out when I'm optimizing the game loop, I don't want to throw out a lot of work. And the same thing in the game engines, I know I can make things better, but sometimes if I try to do that in all 3 game engines, I might be throwing out that work that I put into the game engine that turned out I didn't want to use. So I'm much more interested in just making sure that the functionality is there, knowing that it's not perfect yet. And both game engines have strengths and weaknesses, and I expect the 3rd game engine to be about the same. The other thing I've noticed too is that both game engines, I'm not really doing anything too fancy here, so both game engines were able to accomplish what I wanted to do. I expect the 3rd game engine to be the same, so we don't have enough implemented yet to make a decision upon which game engines are possible, which platforms are possible in each game engine, that sort of thing. We're not really pushing the technology. So I'm going to have more things. And I thought about that when I said, do I add more things before I implemented the 3rd game engine? So when I get to the 3rd game engine, I can then make a decision once it's done. My answer to that is no. It's no for a very particular reason. Because I learned things while implementing in the first 2. But I have more to add to this game, to the game loop. And actually, the whole game is built on levels, and levels are layers that you, like level 2, you'll take what you learned in level 1 and add more stuff to it. In level 3, you'll take what you learned in level 1 and 2 and add more stuff to it. So it layers up. And just because I use certain things in level 1, I might need new things in level 2. The core game loop is going to stay the same, so the user is going to be very comfortable once they've learned that core game loop. But adding things to the framework in order to implement the later levels is very possible. So adding things once the framework is implemented, adding things to that framework is part of the learning experience. Like, I'll implement this little bit of a framework once in the game engines, but adding a new feature into the game engines is something that we'll do more than once. So that experience, that process of adding things to it, as well as adding new levels, more items in the level, all of that will be the experience I will have as I make the game. If I end up with a game engine that's very hard to do that in, that was not the right game engine for me. Even if there are other things that are superior about it, the concept of building is very important in the game engine I choose. And if they're all equal, fine, but if one of them is definitely superior or inferior to the other two, then that's a reason why I don't use that game engine, or I do use that game engine. So I think it is time to go to the third game engine now. Not because when I'm done, I will be able to make that decision, but mostly because when I'm done, I will be able to learn about all three game engines and how it's going to work throughout this project. And then I can make that decision at a later time. So that's what I have. This is a perfect example of a consideration of a minor course correction, whether I need to do it or not. And I'll catch you next time. Stay sane.